Resident Evil 4 Remake, all files. Mission brief. Overview. Retrieve the kidnapped individual. Subject Ashley Graham. Age 20. Daughter of U.S. President. University student. See photo for physical appearance. Background. Contact was suddenly lost with the subject as she made her way home from campus. Soon after, she, along with her ex-military bodyguards, were reported missing. Upon further investigation, it was determined that she was kidnapped by an organized group and a team was convened. Our intelligence department has confirmed several sightings of the subject in a remote village located in a mountainous region of Europe. One agent was specifically chosen for the task. Additional info. We have confirmed that the perpetrators received help from an insider. To prevent leaks, this operation will be kept strictly confidential. Local law enforcement have been brought on board and are providing assistance. Scribbles about dolls. Their influence is not what it once was. Destroy the wind-up dolls. Do not forgive those aristocrats. Photo of a family. At last, flesh of our flesh, blood of our blood. Give thanks and rejoice. Iluminados 4-3. In great veneration of their master, the people offered up their most prized possessions. The old farmer, his finest crop. The slight swineherd, his stoutest pig. The beggarly grandame, her own beloved babe. The master saw these gifts and was pleased. Village Records, Volume 3. Date, October 10th. The weather has been strange of late. The wheat withers, and the cows grow thin. Date, December 8th. There are signs of famine. It is true, we lack the means to work the fields, but Lord Sadler's orders are absolute. Date, January 30th. 30 people have starved to death. 5 cows will be slaughtered. Date, March 11th. The patriarchs gather to cast lots. 6 more chosen for Lord Sadler. Date, April. 8 more today. Date, 4 more today. Date, 11 more today. Date, 2 outsiders got lost and wandered into the village. We took them to the altar for the ritual. No need to cast lots today. Luis Sarah report. Name, Luis Sarah Navarro. Age, 28. Gender, male. Sarah's name first appears publicly in a university student registry. No prior records have been discovered, including his birth certificate. After graduating from university, he was employed by Umbrella's research division, where he became a rising star who won favor among his peers. He was involved in the development of several common over-the-counter drugs, all of which were discontinued before ever reaching the market. See the attached list for details. A few years later, Sarah resigned from Umbrella and could not be located. After the Raccoon City incident, efforts were made by law enforcement and the government to track down anyone with links to Umbrella, but despite conducting an extensive search, they were unable to find him. Considering how well he evaded them, we are almost certain Sarah went to great lengths to disappear. In Hunnigan's handwriting, common over-the-counter drugs? Do you seriously think that Umbrella would let one of their best work on some antacid or beauty cream? Iluminados 4-9. Sleep well and flourish, dear child. As your body grows, your mothers shall sew new small clothes. At 7 quintal of wheat and half a bull a day, you have outgrown your pen. Flourish, dear child, for the sake of your brothers and sisters who cannot. Lakeside map. A pest from the outside has come for the girl. Lock her in the church and await orders from your lord. Until then, keep the church door shut. The key will be held in the cave on the other side of the lake. The monster will deal with the foolish intruder. Photo of Ashley. Keep her locked in the church until the appointed time. Target practice rules. Destroy the pirates and shoot for the high score. Weapons and ammo are unlimited, and it's all free. Earn tokens based on your score for a chance to win magnificent prizes. Exchange your tokens for charms at a token machine. They're full of treasures that can be found nowhere else. Tips and tricks. 1. You can destroy several targets at once by shooting nearby dynamite to set off an explosion. 2. Be careful. Shooting a sailor will deduct points from your score. 3. Some targets cannot be destroyed with one shot. Shoot as many shots as it takes until they break. 4. If certain conditions are met, bonus targets will be added. However, these conditions will change from game to game. When low on boat fuel. The boat fuel is stored with the generator fuel inside the processing building at the fish farm. Take only what you need. Rearing log, 6 months. Its teeth have only just come through, but it shoves everything within reach into its mouth. It can't walk yet, but it's swallowed a dog whole. 9 months. It already towers over me, but it keeps growing. The town hall can no longer contain it. 10 months. It keeps growing even after moving to the quarry. It can devour a whole cow in only 3 days. 13 months. It can swing our largest pickaxe as if it were a twig. One of the men in the village was almost eaten today, too. It's not getting enough food. 17 months. There are only a few cows left now. At this rate, the whole village will starve. We summoned help from the castle and had them put the beast to sleep with an incantation. Hopefully, it won't wake for a long time. Old Man's Journal. 3 years ago, my beloved daughter passed away shortly after giving birth to a son. Since then, the boy has grown considerably. He is a very curious child and has a true thirst for knowledge. He even tries to follow after me when I go out hunting. I can't take my eyes off him for a second. Whenever we walk in the forest, he always asks me to tell stories. He's very fond of Don Quixote. Although he's still small, the boy's smart and observant beyond his years. If he weren't stuck here, he might have become a scholar. I was a careless fool. I could have sworn I shot clean through the wolf's head, and yet it lunged at me. I was able to make it back to the cabin, but my wound is swollen and discolored. I cannot bear seeing the boy's worried eyes. My body moves on its own, and I can hear voices inside my head. Am I going mad? I can't die now and leave the boy behind. Dear God, please protect him. A father's portrait. Watch over the village in my stead, and may smiles always find you in photographs. Photo of the factory, the long-awaited ironworks, 1992, Village Records, Volume 2. All the men cheered when they heard the boat as it raced across the surface of the water. That magnificent oil will surely help us catch fish easier than ever before. The ironworks was only built a year ago, but has already merged well with the village. Our sickles and knives shine like never before. The 2 fish we got from the deal will eat almost anything and are breeding well. The fish farm in the swamp is also making excellent progress. During the day, I teach literacy and mathematics to the children. Every evening, I dine with a single family to hear their grievances and recent gossip, all under the roof of this home we built. Since I opened the village up to the outside, we have prospered, and the people are happier. Smiles have even started to appear on their faces. A strange group of black-robed people descended upon the village from the castle and raised an ominous flag with a spider-like insignia upon it. After preaching about salvation and forgiveness, they injected us with something they claim will cure us of madness. Can they be trusted? Village Records. Volume 1. The elder entrusted the village to me today. He told me I can learn my duties as I go. I will start by keeping a record of the village. There are still many words I cannot write, but the elder encourages me. I will do my best. There is a young boy who lives in the cabin by the lake with his grandfather. It seems that his mother was called to heaven upon his birth. His grandfather doesn't talk much, but the lad is very bright and spirited. He told me a story about a knight who rides a donkey again today. The boy's grandfather has fallen ill, and his condition worsens every day. The boy worries terribly about him, and there are murmurs of a madness among the villagers. As I took my leave, the old man pulled me aside and said, "If anything happens, you know what to do." I could only nod in response. It was a terrible night. Everyone stood around the cabin and watched as it burned to the ground. The boy looked on without saying a word. Even as dawn broke, he didn't move a muscle. The next day, he was gone. Photo of a boy and his grandfather. The Navarro family, 1981. Tighten the defenses. This is a direct order from Lord Sadler himself. Convert the area beyond this point into a defensive position so that no intruders may pass. I am willing to make any and all sacrifices for the sake of the righteous faith. My devout believers, build me an impregnable fortress, and make sure any heathen foolish enough to trespass pays for their wicked sins in blood. Merchant tip: get rich, quick. How are the requests coming along? Did you know that you can trade the spinels you receive as a reward for valuable goods that can't be bought otherwise? We've got loads of useful items, but I recommend you pick up a treasure map the most. These maps detail the locations of the cult's cherished hidden treasures. Took me and the lads a lot of time to find them. With these maps handy, you'll never be skint again. Sure, you may have to venture into some dangerous areas to get them, but you can handle that, right? Merchant tip: the prudent choice. Sick of constantly running out of ammo? Well, have I got a treat for you. The bolt thrower is something else, mate. Its bolts can be retrieved and reused, so you can keep shooting forever. And that's not all. You can affix the bolts with attachable mines, proximity explosives, to quickly turn the weapon into a powerful mine thrower. Shoot at an enemy to see them explode instantly, or at a surface to set a proximity mine. You'll lose the bolt, but it'll be worth it. Merchant tip: get cash back. Instead of letting your unused guns collect dust, why not sell them and spend the extra cash to upgrade a weapon you do use? When you sell a weapon you've tuned up, you'll get almost all the expenses you put into it back. There's no catch, mate. We're just rooting for you. Quarterly findings. Excerpt. Summary. Effects and uses of specific drugs on the plaga during the early stages of growth. Place: Facility 1. Meeting room. S. Presenter: Head Researcher Annabel Garcia Escudero. Questioner: Researcher Ryan Chen. And that's all for today's report. Any questions? So, basically, this suppressant can prevent the host from turning into a monster? Laughter. Monster is a bit dramatic. But yes, you could say the host loses a part of their humanity when infected with the parasite. Initial symptoms include mild abdominal pain and hemoptysis, followed by dizziness and even loss of consciousness. Once fully developed, the parasite gains complete control. In other words, the host becomes a puppet. The suppressant that we've developed can inhibit the growth of this parasite. So, it can only delay the inevitable, right? Like having one more beer before going home. Laughter from multiple people. Well, yes, when you put it that way. But sooner or later the bar closes. The suppressant can't completely remove Las Plagas from the hosts. Caretaker's note. I was awoken in the middle of the night once again. It's those awful noises coming from the basement. The sounds of nails clawing at the stone walls and the writhing moan of curses. That man harbors enough hate to ruin this world. He once served the lord of the castle as the torturer, like his father and grandfather before him. It's one of the more unsightly legacies left by the Salazar family. Even among his family, he was special. He enjoyed his work wholeheartedly and had a talent for it. He was gifted at tormenting others. His ability soon attracted the master's interest. And when he took him to the dungeon... No, I can't write any more. I won't. I don't want to recall what happened down there. My mind can't take it. It will break me. I was ordered to attend to him, to feed him, dispose of the filth, all while listening to that wretched voice every night. I can't take it anymore. I've had enough. I will not tolerate one more night in this castle. I shall leave tomorrow. Go far away, where that voice cannot reach my ears. Ramon's confession, my lord, my true benevolent father. Bless the Salazar bloodline with an iron hammer. The founder of my family proclaimed the holy teachings of Los Iluminados evil and persecuted its followers. Not only that, he stole their most prized possession and sealed it below the castle. Blasphemy. Insolence. How long have I suffered the shame of knowing that the same blood flows through my veins? Finally, the day of atonement has come. O my beloved Lord Sadler, I shall release the holy plagas that were hidden under the castle. The time is now. With divine grace, the wicked shall be reborn as a part of the flock, reborn as ganado. They shall be my Lord's loyal servants. Nothing would please me more than to sit at my Lord's feet and bask in your splendor. I am your humble servant. You are my eternal light. To you, I swear my unwavering allegiance. Parasites and their Ecology. Volume 2. There are some parasites that have the ability to control their hosts. This is basic knowledge among most biologists, but not much is known as to how the parasites do it. The following is a list of several such parasites. Dicrocoelium. Once the larvae of this parasite migrate to the ant's esophagus, they alter the behavior of the ant. When the temperature drops in the evening during peak grazing hours, the infected ant climbs to the top of a plant and clamps onto a leaf using its mandible with the intention of being eaten. Galactosomum. The larvae of this parasite make their home inside the brain of a fish such as the yellowtail and the parrot bass. Once infected, the fish makes its way up to the water's surface, where it will swim until eaten by seabirds. Leucochloridium. This parasite's sporocysts develop in the snail's eye stalks, where they pulsate like worms. They alter the snail's behavior and force it to move to the top of a plant to make it more visible to birds. Once eaten by a bird, the parasite will complete its metamorphosis into an adult. Consign the crimson flame. The voice of pestilence dwells in the flames, leading the pitiful souls to salvation. Consign the crimson flame to its rightful place, for you shall be enlightened, and the path revealed. Illuminados 3:2. Hear the signal echo through the mountains. Rocks become gravel and the castle walls crumble. Behold the crimson shade of the night sky. A river of tainted blood befouls the sea. Sacrifice your life and the blood of your enemy. Atone for your ancient sins. Way to the hidden mausoleum. The resting forebears answer to the chosen time. If it is the Lord's blessing you seek, have courage and fear no darkness. Librarian's note. The insignia. The key to getting out of this confounded place is the Salazar family insignia. To find it, I must venture to where that cursed armor awaits, the underground mausoleum. O merciful Lord, enact your righteous justice upon the wicked usurper, the maniacal monster, Ramon Salazar. And may your blessed blue light protect your forever faithful servant. The Salazar family line has come to an end. In order to cure Ramon's sickness, his mother Catalina invited the devil into their home. Inscribed is a brief history of the members that solidified this prestigious bloodline. First generation Count Gregorio, the Conqueror. Gregorio led his men to eradicate the evil that befell the castle. Recognized for his bravery, he was awarded the title of Count and entrusted to keep the demons sealed for generations to come. Second generation, Count Hippolito, the Sealer. With great effort, Hippolito sealed away the plague of demons that emerged from the depths of the earth. He succumbed to wounds sustained in battle. Third generation Count Gregorio, the Architect. Driven by irrational paranoia, Gregorio squandered his vast fortune on excessive castle defenses and strange, elaborate contraptions. Fourth generation Count José Alonso, the Tranquil. Alonso endeavored to restore the family's honor. Fifth-generation Count Alejandro the Lavish. Playful at heart, Alejandro had a courtyard and ballroom erected before his untimely death. Sixth-generation Countess Maria Isabel the Lady. Alejandro's widow. Countess Isabel had a long reign before her death at age 90. Seventh generation Count Diego the Severe. Similar to his predecessor, Diego was exceedingly strict. He was murdered at the hands of a devil. Eighth generation Count Ramon. His illness should have taken him. Chronicles of Pursuit 1. July. 2 years since my awakening. Master Ramon has bestowed upon me a truly righteous undertaking to improve upon the flaws of our human form, to seek perfection as observed in our arthropodal siblings. To this cause I shall willingly devote my life. January, 4 years since my awakening. My efforts to transfuse the black liquid into the body are at the precipice of success. The womb is the key. A pure soul proves to be a highly malleable and adaptive subject. January, 6 years since my awakening. I have named these sacred larvae, carried in the wombs of the chosen, U2, after my own. They shall carry the prestige of my family name as if I had spawned them of my own flesh. The U2 are now close to the size of adult humans, and they continue to feed and multiply. I have successfully created a new species. Master Ramon has recognized my efforts and blessed me with his praise. He has taken to U2, calling them Novistador, meaning the unseen. I've been told that His Holiness, Lord Sadler himself, has also expressed pleasure with my work. What an extraordinary honor this is. I can hardly see the tip of my quill through the tears of joy. His humble servant, Isidro Uriarte Talavera. Prisoner's note. Another one dead. How long has it been since I was thrown down here? The meager scraps of food provided in the beginning are gone, and they don't give us more. The pains of hunger and thirst are unbearable. Most have resorted to drinking the black water. The first to turn was Herminio. He was so weak that he couldn't even walk, but then suddenly became mad. By the time his rampage ended, 2 were dead. I think we shouldn't drink that dark liquid. Dear Abelardo has also passed, though he fought until the very end. The only thing I can do now is honor the bodies and pray that their souls find peace. Oh Lord, why do you test us so? Emergency. Liquid nitrogen showers, requested by Isidro Uriarte Talavera. Date of installation, November the 2nd, 2002. Installation of the liquid nitrogen showers that were requested last month has been completed. Caution. Liquid nitrogen is an extremely hazardous substance. Exposure may cause blindness, frostbite, and even death. Handle with care. Chronicles of Pursuit 2. October. 8 years since my awakening. At last my noble pursuit progresses to its final stage, the fusion of human and insect. The housekeeper has graciously volunteered herself for the experiment. I shall pour my whole heart into this endeavor in order to transcend humanity and make Master Ramon proud. March, 9 years since my awakening. A glorious union has been made. The housekeeper has endured much suffering, but not for naught. Behold the fruits of our labor in all its beauty. I shall consecrate this perfect life form with the name U3, for 3 is the most beautiful and complete number. April, 9 years since my awakening. U3, my dear hound Basanta, has been chosen to serve as the right hand of Master Ramon, but is 2 not better than 1? Now it is my turn to demonstrate my loyalty. His humble servant, Isidro Uriarte Talavera. Chronicles of Pursuit 3. May, 9 years since my awakening. Upon the release of this valve, black liquid shall enter my veins and circulate throughout my entire body. I expect this will be the most painful experience of my life. I await the trial with great anticipation. It is an honor to suffer through the holy labor of rebirth. The next time I awaken, it will be as a true servant of Master Ramon. I, Isidro Uriarte Talavera, make this vow. I will surpass the limitations of man and become a true servant of God. I will find the heretics and serve as their executioner, their verdugo. Notice about power supply. Out-of-service appliances. To conserve electricity, the power has been turned off for some equipment, including the elevator. It can be restored by flipping the circuit breaker located at the very back of the laboratory. Foreman's log. Date: October 11th. Today was the worst day of my life. It's my daughter's 5th birthday, but here I am stuck on a mangy boat heading out to some backcountry dump. If it weren't for the pay, no one would be willing to work out in the middle of nowhere. Today, October 19th. Those in the castle are always reminding us to take care during the excavation, but a few workers collapsed after inhaling some dust. There's something going on here that they're not telling us. There are too many secrets. I've started coughing too. I should sleep. Date: October 26th. Something's really wrong with me. I threw up blood 3 more times today, and I'm so weak I can barely move. Shit, I never should have come here. I came for the money, but instead I am the one paying the price. I'm a terrible father. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. You deserve better. Date: October, since morning. Head don't work. Why? More blood threw up. Many insects crawling. I hear a voice. Date: a fine day to work. Digging brings me so much joy. I am full of happiness. I offer it all to you. Everything for you, Lord Sadler. Explosives storage notice. The dynamite has been relocated to the M4 storeroom. When using explosives, cave-ins are a frequent occurrence. Keep your distance from the blast zone. In the event of a disaster, clean up immediately. Ensure adequate numbers of staff are on site. Housekeeper's Memo 1. I have failed you, my lord. I was unable to fulfill your final commandment and keep the boy from the path of wickedness. I caught a glimpse of Master Ramon's evil temperament during his younger years. When he discovered a servant mocked him by uttering Pulgarcito behind his back, he summoned her to his private chambers. After forcing her to kneel before him, Ramon doused her face with a vial of vitriol he pulled out of his pocket. The young master watched with glee when the servant writhed in agony as the skin melted from her face. His twisted grin still haunts my dreams to this very day. As time passed, Ramon's treachery only deepened, and that infernal cult soon learned they could prey upon his vulnerable heart. Curse the fiends. They've manipulated Master Ramon and turned him into their puppet. Worst of all, they've managed to use him to unleash Las Plagas that the Salazar family has fought so long and hard to keep sealed away. Lord Diego, rest assured, I intend to watch over Master Ramon until the very end, whatever fate may befall us. As a faithful servant of the Salazar family since birth, it is my duty and my penance to you. Housekeeper's Memo 2. O Master Ramon, with tomorrow's procedure I shall finally surpass the limitations of this mortal shell. What's left of me now shall soon be gone. Magnificent. The holy body is a wondrous miracle. The fealty I've sworn to Master Ramon is the sole light that illuminates my path. Our fates shall be entwined until the very end. Have you ever known such loyalty? Merchant tip, the handgun for you. With so many handguns available, choosing the right one for you can be tricky. Lucky for you, we've compiled a list of the special characteristics for 4 stellar choices. Punisher. This one has brilliant stability and penetration power. A laser sight can be mounted onto it too, making it a very versatile weapon. Red 9. This gun delivers a lot of power, but it kicks like a horse. Keep it reined in by attaching the stock. Blacktail. A great gun ideal for quick shooting. Its compact size also helps free up inventory space. Matilda, out of stock. It's a bit unremarkable on its own, but attaching the stock lets you suppress the enemy with 3-round bursts. Merchant Tip. Next level upgrades. Got some good news, mate. I recently procured some high-quality tools. Now, I can do even more nasty upgrades on those weapons of yours, and make 'em sing even louder. For the right price, of course. Give us a shout if you're interested. Eroded Cave Epitaph. MDCCXLI. Expelled by the militant wicked, we find ourselves in exile. Withered is the grass. Barren are the trees. We wait in expiation, this isolated island our purgatory. Yet despair not, brothers and sisters. Our time shall come. Laboratory notice. Attending pathologist, Ernesto Munoz Reyes. Your keycard application has been approved by the head of the department. Please bring your level 1 keycard to dissection and follow the procedure on the next page. Overwrite card for level 2 clearance using the machine located in freezer. Overwrite card for level 3 clearance using the machine located in incubation lab. Please ask each section's supervisor for permission to access the machines. Facility 1 Administration Department. Subject Analysis. Regenerador. Date: April 9th. At last I have created new life. I call it Regenerador. Its metabolic capacity is incredible. Unless all the parasites residing within the organism are destroyed, its tissue can regenerate indefinitely. Date: April 10th. Upon examining the body with a biosensor scope, I was able to confirm that the parasites behave like vital organs for the host, almost as though it has multiple hearts. This new creation of mine is essentially immortal. Surely even Dr. Frankenstein himself would want to shake my hand in admiration. Date: April 13th. I shared the news of my achievement with that pretentious bastard colleague of mine. His face went white. Then he started scribbling something in his notebook. I thought he'd be impressed, but instead he actually had the nerve to warn me of the so-called dangers. He's a fool. I have everything under control. Date: The subject went wild and escaped from its cryogenic tank. I was the real fool. Case 2002-F. Escaped test subject. During a recent power outage, a test subject awoke from cryogenic stasis, broke out of its holding tank, and escaped. The subject was contained after 20 hours, leaving 7 dead and 19 wounded. We were unable to recover one of the bodies and a tool from inside it. The cause of this unfortunate incident is the unstable power supply. The outdated generators cannot keep up with our demanding schedule. Management must prioritize the needs of the engineers over those of the researchers to prevent something like this ever happening again. Copy of irradiation report. The results of Redacted's physical examination showed that his body had become infested with a plaga, likely during one of his experiments with it. Under the supervision of lead researcher Luis Serra, an attempt was made to purge the parasite using a form of experimental radiation therapy. 16 minutes into the procedure, Redacted showed signs of severe shock, and we were forced to stop. Soon after, he was pronounced dead. The device uses external beam radiation to burn the parasite from outside the body, similar to a linear accelerator used in treating cancer. The pain is tremendous, and its use could prove fatal. The post-mortem autopsy has confirmed that the parasite was successfully destroyed. However, in lieu of these results, we have determined that the device requires further work and should not progress beyond the stage of trial operation. Attached is the Irradiation Device Manual for reference. Captive Researcher's Note. We were imprisoned without warning. One by one, we are taken to the next room. I do not know what happens there. They just took Annabelle. I am probably next. I've got to think. Need to get my head straight. All who are infected with the plaga will be at the mercy of Lord Sadler. If he commands it, they will work themselves to death with a smile on their face. Adversely, the host becomes so simple-minded that they're basically useless for any complex task. However, we succeeded in developing the new, superior species of plaga. It has no special variability, but the host's cognitive functions are not diminished. It seems like they plan to administer this new species to the girl. It's clearly important that she maintains her intelligence after infection. All tests were successful, and plans for mass production are moving forward. The project is a complete success, but I've been imprisoned, and preparations to inject me with the superior species are underway in the next room. Annabelle is not herself anymore. The smile has been wiped completely from her face. Writing is the only thing that keeps me sane now. Not that anyone will ever read this. Transporting the amber. I must stress the use of extreme caution when handling the amber deposits from underneath the castle. Work with the utmost respect and obedience. It is imperative that you do not disturb the holy body's slumber. Superior species report. Dearest Lord Sadler, I am overjoyed to report wonderful news. Production of the superior species of Las Plagas is officially underway. If all goes accordingly, rest assured that we will reach our ultimate goal. The plaga is a truly magnificent organism. It has the capacity to live in any vertebrate, be it human, dog, or even crow. There is no other parasite like it on Earth. The superior species is particularly impressive, as it can assimilate with a host without causing any damage to the brain. No one can oppose the strength of your dominance, my lord. On the contrary, who would resist once they experience the utter joy that accompanies the absence of free will? I am living proof. How ignorant I once was. In a few days, I will have finished administrating the plaga to all the high-ranking researchers, and then they too shall know. And when your plan is complete, the whole world shall know. Annabelle Garcia Escudero, Head Researcher. Defenses Development. Per your request, redevelopment of the island is well underway. Weapons and other defensive equipment have been set up to guard against any outside intruders. By the time we are finished, the island will be a giant fortress. These defenses won't hold up long term, but they should last until we carry out our plan. And once accomplished, we'll be that much closer to our ultimate goal of world domination. None will be able to resist our power. Jack Krauser. Redacted Case File. Operation Javier. Few people have heard the name, even within the highest ranks of the U.S. government. And little wonder, too, the operation was not made public. It was conducted in secret and then buried. The reason being, it was too inhumane. It all started back in 2002 when a small unit of U.S. Special Forces was sent to infiltrate an area of South America. Their mission was to eradicate the drug cartels. The whole operation took several years to prepare for, and only the most elite soldiers were selected to participate. I don't know if the mission was a failure or not, but I do know the fate of those elite soldiers once it was over. Apparently, the entire unit was wiped out except for the commanding officer, Major Redacted, and not by the cartels, but by the U.S. It shouldn't have been difficult to extract a single stranded unit. All it would have taken was a single helicopter. But for some reason the military didn't act. Rumors say that the decision was the outcome of a power struggle among the top brass. Others say it was a directive from the former president himself, but we may never know the truth since it was all covered up. But I'm certain of one thing. The U.S. government let those people die. Brave, young people who dedicated their lives to protect their country. I want to expose this crime not because it's my responsibility as a reporter, but because it's my duty as a fellow American. Note 1. This document concerns Operation Javier and was written by an American journalist named Redacted. Note 2. This article will never be published. Redacted has already been taken care of. Krauser's recording. You've done well to make it this far, rookie. I've prepared a battlefield up ahead, just for us soldiers. Watered by the blood of generations, hundreds of years, it's the perfect place to put an end to what happened 2 years ago. Ashley Graham's abduction. Phase 1. Depart from campus with the target. Escort the target as usual until the start of Phase 2. There should be 3 others inside the vehicle, including Baker. Abel's unit will follow behind you in a separate vehicle. Continue to drive your normal route. Phase 2. Stop the vehicle under the pretense of engine trouble. Transfer the target to Abel's vehicle. Phase 3. Abel's unit will change course. Subdue and restrain the target. Place the target in a large container. Phase 4. Baker's unit will create a diversion. Henry's unit will infiltrate the investigation's database and disable their network. Phase 5. Meet at point K9 and transfer the cargo onto the ship. Cliffside Epitaph. The bones of our brethren rest in all nations. The blood of our brethren provides all food. We die only to be reborn. We live on through eternity. We reign absolute. Keenan Sadler. Biological specimen transfer. The repairs were completed without issue. Since the facility was previously used for confinement, the work required to reinforce the airtight ceiling was minimal. And as long as we don't run into any issues with the cooling system test, we plan to bring in all of the remaining specimens from Facility 1. All specimens were successfully transferred. However, we experienced a slight hiccup during transport as one of them became violent. Luckily, the number of casualties was less than anticipated. Please be extra careful when dealing with them. We have received reports that they are beginning to acquire a tolerance to the low temperatures. Emails. Subject. Regarding our arrangement. From Luis. I've compiled the research data that you wanted. Meet me at the designated time and place. To be clear, you're going to get me the hell out of here if I bring you the goods, right? Subject. Regarding our arrangement. From AW. I hope you haven't forgotten about the amber. Without it, the data is worthless. It would be a shame to let your seat go to waste, so do not make me return empty-handed. You still remember the code phrase, I assume? Subject. Regarding our arrangement. From Luis. Relax. I haven't forgotten. And don't worry about the amber. I'll figure something out. Think you can pick me up a pack of smokes on the way? Any brand is fine. The amber. This sample, which I've come to call the amber, was just sitting in the storeroom collecting dust. We used to have ample specimens for experimentation in the past, so it makes sense that this one was overlooked. In fact, the only reason I brought it back to my lab was because of its peculiar shape. After a basic analysis, I've changed my mind. The amber possesses a very unique quality. Although small and in a suspended state, it contains the same organ found in the dominant species, which we've only seen in Sadler himself. When fully developed, the amber may rival, or perhaps even surpass, Sadler's power. Unfortunately, the amber was confiscated by Sadler before I could make any further progress in my research. He may be on to me. I need to get my hands on that sample again and escape in order to continue my research elsewhere. It's the only way to counter Sadler. Of course, I don't think I can trust this outside group either, but I've already come this far. Hopefully I can sweet-talk my way out of this one too. I'll have to, for the world's sake. Sadler's animus. Do not be fooled into thinking that Las Plagas are merely tools for creating powerful bioweapons. Their true value lies in their ability to control. No matter how hostile the subject, a single injection can turn anyone into a faithful servant. Who needs spies when you can turn yesterday's enemy into today's ally? Controlling just one insider can bring an entire organization, an entire country, to its knees. Mass production of the superior species has made this possible. We have empowered Sadler. It is clear what he intends to do next. Can you imagine if Sadler had that much control? 6 billion loyal servants at his sole command. There would be no opposition, no war. Maybe for the first time in human history, the world would know peace. But I know how Sadler and the others have oppressed the people of this island for generations. I know how he treats them. That's no way to live. And because of that, I won't let it happen. Methods for eradicating Las Plagas. There are 2 ways to eradicate Las Plagas: antigen injection and surgery. If the parasite has not hatched yet, it can be treated by administering antigen directly into the body. Once it has hatched, however, there's not much that can be done besides slow its growth. With surgery, the plaga can be targeted and killed using a certain wavelength of radiation, but this is not without its risks. If the parasite has attached itself to the host's nervous system, the host will experience excruciating pain, and there is no effective anesthesia for this kind of procedure. Surgical removal carries considerable risks, even before the parasite has fully developed. Once fully grown, however, it is too late. Removing the parasite would kill the host, but considering what will happen to them, death may be a mercy. Provenance Monolith. Deep beneath the castle grounds, I have found my faith. Oh, behold the divine vestiges left upon this world. It all begins here. Adam Sadler. Illuminado's final chapter. Praise be to the holy insects. We have been promised paradise on earth, man, woman, or child. His love does not discriminate, beast, fish, or bird. All creatures shall be equally blessed. Praise be to the holy insects. We are the humble servants of God. His wisdom will overcome any mountain. His omnipotence will cross any ocean. The light of heaven dwells in all things. Let our bodies be the seedbed. Praise be to the holy insects. We are the flock and the shepherd guides us. Our prayers will be sung all over the world. They will be heard by all. At last we shall exceed the stars in the sky. Resident Evil 4 Remake, Separate Ways, All Files, Villager's Diary. The bell rang today. It has been so long since I last heard it sound. The ringing is the call of our Lord. The whole village congregated at the church to listen. He was as kind as ever. We are growing closer, and our minds are becoming one. He even said that the miracles we create here shall soon grace the entire world. What wisdom! What compassion! Through our Lord's benevolence we shall receive the medicine to cure the madness. I cannot wait until the bell tolls again. Clemente's appeal. Master, if you pay it some thought, it is unusual that Isidro let me go. Ever since that beast in the black robe struck me with something, I have been feeling strange. I have started seeing things, having visions. The sky itself looks like that of another world, and then that thing comes. Only now there are many, hundreds. Master, I beg you, please, is there a way to escape this horror? Cell for awaiting judgment. Brothers and sisters, our Lord is displeased. Do not recklessly slay outsiders at will. All people have a right to fair judgment. Henceforth, we shall deliver solemn justice without prejudice. Take anyone you capture to the factory basement. Do the same with traitors. Scrawled orders. The outsider is in the villa. Assemble the village. Awaken our great child. Suppressant ingredients. We need these. 1. Red ink, bindery. 2. Gold bottle, treasure room. 3. Blue butterfly, collection room. The minerals in the ink, the yeast in the bottle, the substance in the scales of the butterfly wings. Each of these has the special properties we require to make the suppressant. If I extract the ingredients and mix them with the chemicals I have on hand, that should do it. Lithograph. I've prepared a way to acquire the ink. Get shooting. The Amber. Research Report Number 1. Our experiments are still ongoing, but I can already see that this test subject has great potential. To summarize our findings so far. 1. Even in a state of suspended animation, it holds influence over other parasites. 2. It seems to possess the same organ as the dominant species and likely has the same level of control. 3. We still have no method to awaken it. Furthermore, after a deadly accident, we have decided to take extra precautions and seal the Amber in a protective case. That is also why I plan to move the Amber Research Lab to the new comms facility. I guess this is where I say adios to Don Quixote. It was Luis who discovered these things, but Sadler does not trust him. I just hope he keeps his mouth shut. Anabel Garcia Escudero, Head Researcher. Preparator's Note. The collection master is a tacky and lousy boss. He leaves all the dissections for me to do. Even if he does bother to come here, all he does is gawp at his 3 favorite specimens in a particular order before leaving. There's nothing special about them anyway. Why only look at those 3 specimens when we have that prized butterfly to admire? A good researcher would know such things. Isidro's Note. April. 9 years since my awakening. I have received a written petition from Mendez. He wants me to forgive the servant who foolishly ran away. He does not understand. It is not a matter of forgiveness or unforgiveness. Only my noble pursuit matters, for which countless sacrifices are required. An honor for all who dwell in the land of our master. Besides, it would be impossible to remove it from his body now. She implants her prey with a part of herself, manipulating their consciousness and trapping them in a waking nightmare. They are bent to her will, no matter how far they try to flee. The only way to truly escape the torment is to kill her, so the entity within her prey dies too. It is, after all, made up of specialized cells which cannot survive on their own. Yet none are strong enough to put my hound, my Passanta, down. Chronicles of Pursuit. Torn. December, 8 years since my awakening. I am at a loss in my endeavors to combine man with insect. Their fusion is not coming to fruition, and my patience wears thin. The housekeeper has long suffered, and I confess that my hair stands on end when I hear her screams of anguish. Will I ever achieve perfection? I have 2 choices. The first is to continue with my current method, to change nothing, but instead widen my search for compatible insect components. The second is more callous, more immoral, adding yet another completely different organism. If done poorly, the latter choice will likely lead to failure. But I fear I shall not break this deadlock if I do not adjust my current methods. The housekeeper will break if things continue on as they are now. I must decide what to do now. His humble servant, Isidro Uriarte Talavera. Salazar Family Chronology. Waterway. For many years, the existence of the waterway beneath the castle was forgotten. According to our records, it was built by 3rd-generation Count Gregorio, the architect. The reason for its construction is unclear, but it may have been done to contain the deadly insects that plagued his predecessor, Count Hipólito. Water is, after all, a symbol of purity for the Salazar family. Gregorio's waterway was rediscovered during the excavation of an underground tunnel under the orders of the 8th-generation Count Ramon. The elaborate, beautiful architecture is just one example of Gregorio's iconic work. He redirected the river to flow underground, creating both a waterworks and sewage system. It can even be used as a water storage facility during times of drought. The construction can only be described as a magnificent feat of architecture for the time, but its beauty is wasted on our ruling simpleton. The only interest he showed in the place was using it as a tool to drown those who dare oppose him. Insolence. Gregorio must be turning in his grave. Copy of irradiation report. The results of Redacted's physical examination showed that his body had become infested with a plaga. likely during one of his experiments with it. Under the supervision of Luis Serra, an attempt was made to purge the parasite using a form of experimental radiation therapy. 16 minutes into the procedure, Redacted showed signs of severe shock, and we were forced to stop. Soon after, he was pronounced dead. The device uses external beam radiation to burn the parasite from outside the body, similar to a linear accelerator used in treating cancer. The pain is tremendous, and its use could prove fatal. The post-mortem autopsy has confirmed that the parasite was successfully destroyed. However, in lieu of these results, we have determined that the device requires further work and should not progress beyond the stage of trial operation. Attached is the irradiation device manual for reference. Order A008. Connect the override device to the main terminal in the comms facility. Researchers scrawled note. Okay, can't rush. Gotta get the facts down. First, the test subjects are loose in the facility. Second, the only way out is shut. The high-voltage power unit is missing, and the exit won't open without one. The freezer. There is a power unit in there. It's an emergency power supply for when one of the test subjects escapes. It should do the job. Problem is, how do I get there with those things running wild? Need to think. Can't give up. Got a family. I can make it. I can do this. I have to. For them. Antenna Array Construction Report. The installation of the highly sensitive antenna array on the island is finally complete. With it, the activities of hostile organizations, including those of U.S. intelligence services, can be accurately intercepted and monitored. Now we can hear all. First, we will use this to gather intel and plan for the day of the kidnapping. It will certainly ensure our success. We will show the entire world how that country's security is all bark and no bite. Jack Krauser. The Amber. Research Report Number 12. Our research into the Amber continues on the island. We are beginning to get a clearer picture, but there is still much we do not know. The Amber is proving its usefulness. Although it is still dormant, it has great influence over other parasites and even strengthens them. I am convinced that this optimizes the relationship between parasite and host. In our experiments, we were able to recreate this for one of our test subjects. This is a great achievement. Next, I want to test its influence over the superior species of plaga. However, only those at the top of Los Iluminados are hosts to this particular type of parasite, and they would never agree to participate in any experiments. I need to plan carefully if I wish to find any volunteers. Annabel Garcia Escudero, Head Researcher. Subject Analysis, Martinico. The effects of the amber are greater than anything I could have imagined. Martinico was once a fragile, uncontrollable test subject that was despised for being born deformed. But after numerous experiments, it gained tremendous resilience and regenerating abilities, and now it is impervious to conventional weapons. Now for the bad news. It may be stronger, but its mental capacity has not improved at all. In the unlikely event that it breaks free, there is little we can do to contain it again. Only the powerful lasers can stop it for good. The Amber. Research Report Number 14. My findings show the amber has the ability to invigorate even the superior species of plaga. It was wise to choose Krauser as the guinea pig. The others were too suspicious, but Krauser's incessant lust for power was more than enough to convince him to take part in my experiments. The results have been excellent. The growth of the superior species can now easily surpass that of a regular parasite. He is without a doubt one of the most powerful people I have ever seen. The only thing we have to fear now is the power sleeping within the amber. How can I prepare? What should I do if it is awakened? It does not matter. Writing these reports no longer has any meaning. Sadler came to me. The ampule he handed over is still in front of me. I know too much. I realize what will happen if I inject myself with it. Will he kill me if I defy him? Or should I place the gun to my own head and pull the trigger? It is going to be a long night. Last line of defenses. Leon still hasn't been dealt with. I have set up camp beside the ruins so I can lure him in to finish things once and for all. Security at the loading docks has also been put on high alert in case he bypasses the area, and a rocket launcher team has been deployed. The custom-red warheads are also on standby, but the rookie isn't the only reason I'm improving our defensive capabilities. Some group is drawing closer to the island to steal the holy body, and I'm pretty sure I know who. Without these warheads, I'm going to have a hard time getting rid of these intruders. Then again, even with them. Thank you for purchasing our warheads. Thank you for your order, Major Krauser. We are humbled you chose to do business with us, and it is an honor to supply you with our arms. To briefly explain their features, the warheads you requested are hardened to pierce heavily armored targets. They are painted red to make them easier to identify among similar munitions. Not only can they penetrate tank armor and pillboxes, but the explosively formed penetrator jet can even perforate a battleship's thick hull. They are somewhat overpowered, so it is fair to say that there is not a single combat vehicle that can withstand these warheads. We are in no position to ask how you will use these weapons, and it is none of our business, but there is no target that would require the immense destructive power that they possess. Please use with caution. Newman Arms Corporation. Resident Evil 5. All files. The writing is erratic. All outsiders will receive the blade of punishment. We will bless them with a sacred death. We will release them from their bonds of wickedness. Looks like a message. Las Plagas. Possible mutation in the body. Low probability, but evidence is compelling. Possible sales point. Weak against bright light. Address problem immediately. Type 2 plagas. As stated in earlier documentation on the subject, the original Las Plagas parasite was discovered in an isolated area in Europe. Upon maturation in a host, the parasite quickly replaces the host's will and self-awareness, rendering them highly susceptible to control by another. It was this aspect of Las Plagas that meant one so inclined could create obedient subjects who would obey directives without question. With obvious commercial application possibilities, Las Plagas quickly came under review by interested parties. The problem with commercializing Las Plagas was the time discrepancy between initial infection and when the hosts were rendered susceptible to control. The time between when Las Plagas is administered to the host as an egg and the time when it fully matures and attaches itself to the control nervous system was met with negative criticism. The maturation cycle of Las Plagas is relatively brief, but potential customers wishing for more expedient results. With this in mind, research was undertaken to improve Las Plagas. The final result of this research becoming Type 2 plagas. Type 2 plagas differs from its predecessor in that it is administered in its mature state, and from that point the host can almost immediately be controlled. Type 2 is administered orally, or more specifically, it is forced into the mouth of the host. It's an indelicate method, but it's also the most effective. After oral administration, Type 2 rends the esophagus and moves first to the medulla oblongata, then to the brain proper, and finally the spinal cord. Once it has taken hold of the central nervous system, the host can be controlled. Under a laboratory setting, we recorded complete control of a host within 10 seconds of administration of Type 2. Aside from the reduced infection time, the Type 2 plagas appeared to share all of the characteristics of the original Las Plagas, which made it more than suitable for commercialization. All that remains now is to simulate field data from the Kijuju Autonomous Zone. Listed below are the 3 key experiments for evaluation of Type 2. 1. Infection. Administer Type 2 samples to 10 previously infected individuals and observe the rate at which they spread the infection. These 10 test subjects must be given enough Type 2 samples to create measurable results. 2. Control. Observe to what extent the barbaric behavior induced by the plagas can be controlled. This will be ascertained by witnessing the results of the directive to engage the BSAA operatives within the area. 3. Fighting. Accumulate data on Type 2 in combat. Type 2 hosts will battle BSAA operatives deployed in the area. This experiment will be the last stage for evaluating the effectiveness of Type 2 plagas. Schedule report. The corpse of a BSAA agent. Such a tragedy. His PDA has an unsent message. From the evidence gathered thus far, it would appear that most of Delta Team was wiped out between the time they requested backup and the time we reached the area. One of their beacons was still transmitting an active signal, so we moved to intercept due to the possibility of survivors. While en route, the beacon's transmission ceased. Judging by the last transmission, the beacon should be just ahead of our current position. There is a sealed door currently blocking our route, so infiltration may prove difficult. End report. Village Youth's Diary. April 5th. A man who said he was the foreman of the oil plant came to visit us today. He said he wants to inoculate everyone living near the oil field against some kind of disease. In my parents' generation, they tricked our people and stole the land to turn it into their oil field. They must feel guilty about that because they are always trying to help our village now. When we couldn't get across the swamp, they built a gondola on a rope for us. Sometimes they'll even give us alcohol from foreign countries. This medicine is probably something like that. Everyone in our village is glad to receive this medicine, but I don't want it. I don't have a reason for not getting it. I just didn't like the way the foreman looks, that's all. April 8th. Everyone went to the oil field to get this inoculation. The village is usually never this quiet. The only thing to do today is sleep. April 9th. I slept too much during the day, so I couldn't sleep at night, and it was noisy outside. Everyone was talking with serious voices in the middle of the village. All of the children in the village had come down with a fever. The mothers all drew water to cool their bodies, but it didn't help. By the next morning, they were all dead. In the morning, our leader went to the oil field. He wanted to know if the medicine they were given killed the children. When he came back to the village, he said the children died because they had the disease. He told everyone that they needed to go back for more shots. I didn't want to, but everyone in the village was worried about catching the disease. They forced me to go with them and get the shots. April 10th. People are fighting in the village. All the men are very angry. It might be because all the children died, but I think it's something else. The women just sit around and don't move. I wonder if the disease is spreading. April 11th. I couldn't sit still today. I felt like something was moving around inside me. Outside, I saw a man who looked strange. He was naked and had a weapon. His entire body was covered in war paint. It wasn't even festival day. I tried to talk to him, but when he turned around, I saw his face. He didn't even look human. What is happening to the people of my village? April 12th. The screaming has not stopped since yesterday. The men are all dressing like our ancestors and fighting each other. Most of the women have died. April 13th. Head hurts. Fever. Feel angry. Saw a big man outside window. Very tall. Must be vision. April 14th. Feel good. Screams. Stop. Looks fun. Want to. Kill. Field test. 1 week has passed since the initial field test of Type 3 plagas. Type 3 was designed to display dramatically enhanced physical abilities over previous versions. The original Las Plagas had a special plaga known as the Control Plaga that would provide a host with enhanced physical abilities. These control types were limited in number, and they always caused severe physical changes in the host, and thus it was not always expedient to use them. From a business standpoint, this was undesirable. The idea was to create super soldiers without any side effects, something consumers wanted. Other teams are currently working on developing a similar product to Las Plagas for commercial use, but given the affinity Las Plagas has for human hosts, it seems advantageous to continue to develop it. Other methods may produce superior super soldiers, but if they do not render the host completely controllable, their effectiveness would be limited. Taking a subordinate plaga, the base Las Plagas, and implanting a gene from the control plaga created a new type of plaga, the Type 3. It is believed that if Type 3 can be perfected, it will become the new standard on the bioweapons market. But that day is still in the offing. During a recent field test, a number of issues came to the fore. The chief problem is its ineffectual adherence rate. In adult and adolescent males, the adherence rate is approximately 92%, the same for normal Las Plagas. For women and young children, Type 3 has a 0% adherence rate. With these disappointing results, it is obvious that in its current state, Type 3 would not render an adequate product. In addition, superficial mutations were invariably fatal. This is thought to be due to the dynamic influence of the control plaga gene. The test, however, was not without some favorable results. Our goal to realize dramatic physical enhancements were somewhat realized. The jumping power of hosts has shown remarkable improvement. Another point is one we hadn't predicted. Size, increase in the hosts, with some reaching a height of almost 3 meters. This could also be due to the gene from the control plaga, but it is within acceptable parameters. With this field test, we did not achieve all our initial desired results, but the test was not a complete failure. It may be possible to use the information garnered from the current tests and use them to make improvements in any future tests. Administrator's log. The pumps are properly irrigating the progenitor flowers, but they require a lot of maintenance. Umbrella installed these pumps over 30 years ago. It's a wonder that they still even work. The tank that filters the water is barely holding up. We need to replace these pumps as soon as possible. In a lucky turn, I found the log of Umbrella's construction supervisor. It said the pump system here was designed by a company called Fabiano. I think we use Fabiano pumps in our Natural Resources Development Division. I'll talk to Mr. Irving, the foreman at the oil plant, and see if we can't get some newer pumps from him. Construction supervisor's log. So we finally kicked the Endopia from the ruins they were squatting in. I have heard it was just to get this flower field, but that's the least of my concerns right now. One thing I do know is that construction here has been a colossal headache. Trying to build something among these ruins is almost impossible to begin with, and just to get started, we had to change the groundwater channels. That meant the flower bed wasn't getting irrigated properly, and now the flowers are dying. And to top it all off, I have the head researcher, Brandon, breathing down my neck. He says he wants the facilities to be at least 3 times bigger than originally planned. So after that got approved, they fired the supervisor before me, Peter. Not sure why, though. Maybe he looked at them wrong or something. If I let these flowers die, the same thing will happen to me. I can't help but sympathize with poor Petey. Working with these science types is a pain in the ass. I hope we find a new water source soon. Our surveys showed that there might be some groundwater 500 meters or so down. That's pretty deep, so we'll probably have to use that new pump system the Fabiano company makes. Hopefully that'll work, but with how everything has went so far, I'm sure something will go wrong. The only problem is that I have no idea when I'll be getting those new pumps. Even best case scenario, there's no way we'll get those new pumps in here and set up before the year is out. Looks like we'll just have to use old-fashioned manpower to fetch water for those flowers so they don't die. Looks like I'm going to be spending the last Christmas of the 60s away from my family in a dank, dark cave playing gardener for some flowers. Ain't life a bitch? December 15th, 1977. African Research Center Director, Brandon Bailey, from Chief Researcher Brandon's Journal, No. 1. 1966, December 4th. Mr. Spencer once spoke of a flower called the Stairway to the Sun. Supposedly, this flower would give the person who consumed it incredible abilities. Everyone thought it was nothing more than a rumor or legend that Mr. Spencer was telling us, but later research would prove us wrong. The first person to recognize the validity of that story was my teacher, Dr. James Marcus. He hypothesized that a virus, hereto unknown, might exist that could alter DNA. That man was so perspicacious, his hypothesis turned out to be correct. The virus discovered in that flower was labeled progenitor. For 3 months in Africa, we worked diligently, fretting over results, and staved off attacks from the Endopia. After such time, our efforts were finally rewarded. Even Dr. Marcus, who until yesterday looked exhausted, was in good spirits. He wants to return home as soon as possible to delve deeper into his research. I feel the same way. I want to learn the secrets of this progenitor virus as soon as possible. 1967, February 12th. We've hit the metaphorical brick wall. We brought the progenitor flower back from Africa and attempted to cultivate it here. The initial culture samples of the progenitor virus have not shown DNA-altering characteristics. We cultivated the flower to mass-produce the progenitor virus. At first, everything proceeded smoothly. The plants were strong and grew quickly. In a short amount of time, they flowered. But here is when a major problem surfaced. The flowers did not contain the progenitor virus. Perhaps the environment in which they're grown triggers the development of the virus. This matter must be investigated further. March 23rd. We've made no progress. We've tried cultivating the flower under different conditions, but with no luck in triggering development of the virus itself. Thus far, we have tried changing the soil, water, temperature, and light exposure, all with no success. I got into a heated debate with Dr. Marcus about the direction this research was taking. During that debate, Mr. Spencer interjected some foolhardy notion of starting a company. Without the progenitor virus, there's no point in starting a company. Does he not see that? It's all pointless. Tri-Cell Researcher Miguel's Journal, number 1. February 19th, when I heard it was the laboratory used by Umbrella in Africa, my expectations were raised to say the least. But when I saw it, well, it's a lab in name only. I don't know how Umbrella ever used it, and Lord knows how Tri-Cell could possibly have any use for it. The place was abandoned long ago, so there's nothing there of any value to us. Not one piece of lab equipment remains, at least nothing that still works. I can't say I'm surprised because I half expected this. Anyway, the important thing is the progenitor virus. If we didn't need that virus for our research, there would have been no need to come to this rundown Umbrella facility anyway. We already have samples of the T virus, the G virus, the T Veronica virus, and even the Las Plagas parasite. We have everything we need for our research. We just didn't have that damned progenitor virus, but we finally got our hands on it. Hopefully this will give us that much needed breakthrough in our research. I can't wait to start working on it. March 7th. I wonder who came up with the name Liquor for those creatures. I mean, when you see its long tongue, you just know that it's the perfect name. But for researchers like me, BOWs, like liquors, are just a pain in the ass. If I said liquors were too perfect, I'd probably be going too far in my praise. But they're pretty much an evolutionary dead end. There's no room left for improvement. BOWs that were created using the T virus don't seem to show much improvement when the progenitor virus is administered. I mean, their abilities show some slight improvements. For example, their sense of smell seems more or less improved. But that's all we've got so far. They're still blind as an old lady, and they're ugly as shit. The biggest jump in their evolution seems to be their ability to reproduce. I hate when things don't go according to plan, but since there's still a demand for liquors on the BOW market, I guess things aren't all that bad. An email to an acquaintance. Hey, I know this is sudden, but I'm going to be getting some time off soon. We've completed most of our work on the new project. Sorry, I can't talk about work, so they're giving us some time off as a reward for all our hard work. All the staff are leaving tomorrow, and we'll finally be getting out of this country. I'm heading straight back to Arizona, and I can't wait to get home and see everyone. More than that, I think I'll just be happy to get away from the high and mighty Miguel. Guy thinks he's some sort of super genius. Miguel's a guy that sits next to me at work, and he's a good researcher and all, don't get me wrong. He's got some good ideas and is good at noticing details, but every time he opens his mouth, he just goes on and on about how great he is. You can't even begin to imagine what torture it is to hear that day in and day out. I wish we made a sedative I could give him, but forget all that. What matters is that I should be back home within the next few days. When I get back, I'll give you a call. We gotta go out and get smashed. I could use the break. Talk to you soon, Ryan. Research Center Director Brandon's Journal, 1998, November 16th. We've closed down the research center. It's strange, but I don't really care. I'm indifferent to the whole thing. I feel the same way as when I heard that the Arclay facility in Raccoon City were destroyed. When did I become so apathetic? I've spent every waking moment researching and extracting the progenitor virus. Everything I did was for Dr. Marcus. Actually, when I think about it, I probably stopped caring the day I heard he had died all those years ago. I didn't feel angry or happy or even shocked. I felt nothing at all. It was as if all my emotions just shut down. I just kept sending out samples of the progenitor virus to all of Umbrella's laboratories. I was just an automated machine reporting to Umbrella's headquarters every time one of my subordinates made a breakthrough or discovered something new. I was like a zombie ambling through life. No thoughts, no feelings. And now the research center where I've spent half my life is closed. I really don't care one way or another. It's probably all for the best. Perhaps it is too late to have any semblance of a life again. From Chief Researcher Brandon's Journal, Number 2, 1968, April 15th. It's been over a year since we've had any breakthroughs. That's why Dr. Marcus and I have decided to return to Africa. We can no longer continue our research without the progenitor virus. I know those routine attacks by the Endopaya are really going to rack my nerves, but for the sake of our research, I will persevere. In the face of my foreseen dismay, it was Mr. Spencer who provided the answer. If you're worried about the Endopaya, then we'll just have to remove them from the equation. I can only imagine the look of shock on our faces. The idea never occurred to us. It was quite an atypical solution to our problems, but it seemed to be the only option available. Dr. Marcus and I decided to try Mr. Spencer's plan. August 19th. Finally, some good news. We learned they were able to chase the Endopaya off their land. The land we acquired only amounts to half of those underground ruins, but if it includes the area where the progenitor flower grows, then there should be no issues. Mr. Spencer said he plans to construct research facilities at the site, which will expedite our research into the virus. We hastily made our preparations to depart for Africa, but Mr. Spencer requests that Dr. Marcus stay in Raccoon City to take over the training center. We were initially taken aback by the request, but we soon realized it was the logical course of action. Dr. Marcus needs a calm environment to properly conduct his research. If he were in Africa, there would be no proper facility for him to use at this time. I just hope the African research facilities get built soon. So now I will go alone to Africa and send back samples of the progenitor virus to Dr. Marcus. Both Dr. Marcus and Mr. Spencer agree this is the best course of action. I have to start making preparations to go. I have a feeling I'll be pretty busy starting tomorrow. September 29th. I've been in Africa for 2 weeks now. It's a good thing Dr. Marcus isn't here. This place is far from being a paradise of research and scientific study. The so-called research facilities are nothing more than a bunch of tents, and we have to employ armed soldiers to keep the Endopaya at bay. But the thing that gets on my nerves the most is the sound of the construction for the real research facilities. How am I supposed to concentrate on research when everything is threatening to drive me insane? I'm trying to just concentrate on extracting the virus samples from the progenitor flower so I can send them to Dr. Marcus. Hopefully, if I focus on my work, I can remain sane in this godforsaken place. 1969, June 15th. The research facilities are finally completed. This is the real Umbrella Africa Research Center, not just some pile of tents, but I've come to a realization in the past 9 months. The facilities are too small for our needs. We need to make them larger, more suitable for research. Then we can fill them with more talented researchers. This place needs to be our front line in our progenitor virus research. Our results will do a great service to Dr. Marcus and his viral research. In a rare turn of events, that old skinflint Spencer actually agreed with me on this. Telegram from James Marcus. T-virus development a success. January 13th, 1978. J. Marcus. Test subject data. Test subject. Caucasian female. Eye color. Blue. Subject has been in a medically induced stasis for an extended period. All vital signs including heart rate, respiration, blood pressure, and temperature are within normal values. A pigmentation abnormality has been observed. Effective abnormality is limited to cranial hair follicles. In addition, slight skin whitening, etiolation, has been observed. Regarding the mutant organism found in the facilities. May 6th. A fire broke out during the test for loading Ouroboros virus onto the missiles. This required a temporary Level 4, BL4, quarantine for the immediate area. May 11th. It's been 5 days since the area was put under quarantine. There have been reports of an animal undergoing a strange and rapid mutation. Eyewitness accounts indicate the creature possesses a very hard epidermis. No viral cysts related to Ouroboros have been reported, however. I speculate that we are dealing with something that has been influenced by the Ouroboros virus. A rare occurrence, to be sure. Perhaps tomorrow I will put together an investigation team to procure a sample specimen. May 12th. I sent a lightly armed team to investigate the sightings of this strange creature. Unfortunately, another team had to be deployed to retrieve the corpses of the first team, which had been dismembered by something extremely sharp. There were also multiple stab wounds that appeared to be made by a giant spear. Trace amounts of a peculiar chemical substance were detected on the eyes of some of the corpses. What kind of mutant organism we are dealing with is still unknown at this time. According to the initial investigation, we could be dealing with a new type of BOW. Based on the creature's style of attack, I have codenamed it Reaper for the time being. Of course, more data on this creature is still required before a thorough analysis can be submitted. Directions for use of Ouroboros virus. Attention! This instruction manual contains important information concerning the proper handling and use of the Ouroboros virus. Using the virus for anything outside the uses listed in this manual may result in the expiration of the handler. Using the virus for anything outside the uses listed in this manual may result in the expiration of those within the handler's vicinity. Administration of the virus to a test subject usually results in the dissolution, so carefully select your test subjects. When using the virus, please follow the instructions in this manual carefully. Virus dosage is proportional to the subject's weight. Please use the following chart. After injection of the virus, a test subject may experience some or all of the following symptoms: sweating, labored breath, delirium, and/or confusion. After being administered, the virus will recognize and adapt to the test subject's DNA. During that time, the virus will enter a state of dormancy. When it is unsuccessful in adapting to the subject's DNA, it will begin to assimilate organic matter from its immediate environment in order to fuel its growth. The immediate area around an unsuccessful adaptation is extremely volatile. Researchers should be advised to evacuate the vicinity of the test subject's corpse or incinerate it to prevent its spread. The virus will transform the cells inside the test subject's body into black leech-like pustules, then expel them through the skin's surface, consuming the subject completely. The creature displays only primitive intelligence and will only search for and prey upon organic matter to fuel its growth. Individually, these pustules are not a threat, but as a collective, they become dangerous to other living organisms and will try to feed on them. Please take extreme caution when handling the virus. If the virus does adapt to the test subject's DNA, you are required to report it to the proper section immediately. In the case of rejection of the subject's DNA, or if there are complications disposing of the corpse, please contact the section listed on the attached paper. You will then be instructed on how to deal with your situation. Report on implementation of preventing information leaks. The following report details the execution of your orders. 0853. All research personnel boarded a bus. 0857. Left research facility and headed toward the airport. 0922. Sleep gas was released and targets for elimination all fell into a coma. 0925. Bus was stopped and targets were brought outside the bus to be eliminated. 0944. Elimination of targets finished. 1103. Targets' bodies were collected and brought back to the research facility. 1135. Bodies disposed of in the underground furnace along with all personal effects. 1310. Completed immolating all bodies and personal effects. All orders successfully carried out. End of report. Tricell Researcher Miguel's Journal, Number 2, May 8th. Our current aim is to develop a virus that surpasses the potential of both the G virus and T Veronica virus. We need to eliminate any extreme mutations, mental atrophy, and instability in the virus. We were told not to be concerned with retention and rejection rates, but even still, overcoming these three problems is going to be a challenge. Of course, all that is really only a problem for regular researchers. I'm already on the cusp of overcoming two of the problems. The third is proving to be a bit trickier, so I may have to resort to some alternative methods. Sometimes I frighten myself with my own ingenuity. Tricell is fortunate to have someone of my intelligence on their payroll. Report on Project W, August 28th, 1998. It has been confirmed that the accident at the Raccoon City Arclay Research Facility was due to the involvement of Project W, test subject number 013, hereafter referred to as Albert. His death in the accident has made obtaining any further information an impossibility. Albert's death was confirmed by the Information Department. Albert's death puts the current success rate of Project W down to 18%. The quota of qualified individuals for the project has been drastically reduced and must be addressed immediately. This poses a grave situation for any progress that can hope to be made in the project. Since there is no roster of qualified individuals to replace the recent losses, it would be advisable to start selecting individuals from the pool of failed candidates. After this, adjustments can be made that will restore up to 93% of the quota prior to Albert's death. Umbrella Information Department, Alex W. Spencer's Notebook. I just received word that Raccoon City has been wiped out. The Americans finally took action against us. I hope the irony of using the very military machine that was supposed to protect them from foreign attackers to kill their own people is not lost on them. While the danger posed by the threat of the T-virus spreading was very real, I don't think Americans will easily forgive their government for the deaths of over 100,000 of their own people. If the truth of this matter is ever brought to light, support for the current administration will plummet. I don't think he wants that. Even a child can see that they will come after Umbrella with everything they have. To hide their own foolish mistakes, they will blame Umbrella for Raccoon City's annihilation. It would seem Umbrella will share Raccoon City's fate, but perhaps it will be to a lesser degree. Umbrella was nothing but a tool for the research of the progenitor virus. Even without that tool, the research still survives. Only Umbrella's lowly employees will be hurt by its dissolution. If the secret research involving the progenitor virus is protected, then I can always rebuild anew. I've already made preparations for such a plan. The research facility in Africa remains a secret, and it is there that the progenitor virus is produced, something that we didn't achieve until the late 80s. Only a handful of people in the company are even aware of the African facility's existence thanks to our strict regulation of the flow of information. Only a minimum amount of personnel were ever transferred from Africa to other locations, and they were always closely monitored. Director Bailey has been confined to the African facility for almost 30 years, and even that has all been for this day. All that remains is to close that facility, and everything will go according to my plan. Once that facility is gone, all its connections to Umbrella will disappear with it. Then, I will have to deal with anyone who has a level 10 security clearance, as they are the only ones who know of the African facility's existence. Everyone else will be summarily disposed of. My secrets will be protected. When one buries a treasure, one should not leave behind a map. A printout is stuck inside the notebook. Personnel with access to company secrets. Level 10. Oswell S. Deceased. Henning P. Imprisoned. Masaki T. Deceased. Jenny K. Whereabouts unknown. Carlos M. Found. Information obtained. Eliminated. Level 9. Brandon B. Deceased. Frank E. Deceased. Isabella C. Deceased. Greg A. Deceased. Lee D. Deceased. Michael K. Deceased. Ethan W. Deceased. Satellite laser. Shango operating manual. The Shango satellite laser is operated by using a rocket launcher-style laser targeting device, LTD, that sends targeting coordinates to the satellite. The satellite is then capable of firing a highly concentrated laser to within centimeters of the target. Operation procedures. 1. Aim the LTD at the target to relay the coordinates to the satellite. 2. Once the target has been ascertained, the coordinates will be relayed. During the transmission, the target ring will appear red on the targeting scope. Note: if the targeting sensor's AI perceives that the target is no longer being tracked by the targeting scope, transmission of the coordinates will be cancelled. 3. When Lock On appears in the scope, it means the transmission has been successfully sent. Pulling the trigger will now activate the laser. 4. The firing cannon must be given time to recharge before it can be refired. Ouroboros plan. The Ouroboros virus will have a direct and substantial impact on human DNA. Those who possess inferior genes will find exposure to the virus fatal. Most of those infected will be unable to withstand this winnowing. The handful of survivors will be limited to those who possess superior DNA. There is no room in this new world for those who do not qualify. A new day will dawn only for the chosen few. Tonight, Ouroboros and I shall awaken the best of this world. Everything is on schedule. When the bomber reaches the tropopause, the missiles carrying the Ouroboros virus will be deployed. Once released, the virus will enter the upper troposphere and spread using the wind currents. It is then that humanity will receive its final judgment. A virus possesses no emotions, and therein lies its beauty. It will select only choice humans from around the world. The ones who are not chosen will become hosts for Ouroboros, and their existence will consist only of searching for new hosts. Once set into motion, nothing can stop this chain reaction. The din of 6 billion screams will close the book on humanity's ignoble past. Resident Evil 5, Lost in Nightmares, all files. It looks like pages from a diary. Some entries are missing. May 9th, 1998. Played poker tonight with Scott and Elias from security and Steve from research. Steve was the big winner, but I think he was cheating. That scumbag. May 10th, 1998. One of the higher-ups assigned me to take care of a new creature. It looks like a skinned gorilla to me. Scott said there'd been an accident in the basement lab. I just knew something like this would happen. Those bastards in research never sleep, not even on holidays. May 12th, 1998. I've been wearing this damn spacesuit since yesterday. My skin's getting grimy and feels itch all over. May 16th, 1998. A rumor is going around that a researcher who tried to escape the estate last night was shot. My entire body feels hot and itchy, and I'm sweating all the time now. I scratched the swelling on my arm and a piece of rotten flesh just dropped off. What the hell's happening to me? May 19th, 1998. Fever gone, but itchy. Today hungry and eat doggy food. Itchy. Tasty. Patrick's memoirs. For a time it appeared as if Master Spencer would recover his former health, but fate was not so kind, and now he confines himself to his study for days on end. It has been ages since I have seen him take his meals in the dining hall. I have endeavored to prepare meals to his liking, and I bring them every day to the study. Unfortunately, he lacks the strength to eat anything but soup and other liquids. I cannot recall a time in the history of this household when the situation was as dire as now. In generations past, the Spencer estate was the nexus for only the most well-to-do European socialites. Now, only a skeleton staff remains to look after a man who keeps himself in virtual seclusion at one of his many residences. My family has been in the Spencer household service since the time of his great-grandfather. This rapid state of decline would have been unimaginable even just one generation prior. I remember fondly the days of my youth, but that seems like a lifetime ago now. It was about 50 years ago, back when my father was the head butler of the household. At that time I was learning his duties in preparation to succeed him, and there was always some chore or errand that would keep me running around the house. I remember how Lord Ashford, another aristocrat from a storied family, and one of Master Spencer's schoolmates, Dr. Marcus, would find refuge from the summer heat at this villa. My father and I would accompany them and do our utmost to see that they wanted for nothing. Perhaps because I was the youngest person there, they would take to teasing me, though, more often than not, they would treat me as one of them. I remember the time Lord Ashford gave me my first taste of brandy. It was on the second floor of the dining hall behind the stone statues lining the room. I will never forget the mellifluous scent when he opened the bottle, but those cherished times are only memories now. Lord Ashford, Dr. Marcus, and of course my father have all already passed on. Only Master Spencer remains, and I'm afraid his days may be few. When Master Spencer dies, it will mark the end of his illustrious family, as well as my family's service to his. For now, I can only wait for the inevitable. I cannot stop thinking about the screams of those poor souls imprisoned in the basement. I administered the virus to all of them, as per Master Spencer's instructions 1 week ago. Whatever they've become now, they are no longer human. I have assisted with multiple experiments at Master Spencer's behest. I do not know of what use a simple butler not schooled in the sciences such as myself can be, but I should be proud that the Master trusts me with his important work. He usually has nothing but contempt or distrust for those around him. However, I cannot help but feel a disconnect between how I think I should feel and my actual mental state. On the one hand, I am filled with joy at the chance to assist the Master in any way I can. On the other, I feel as if I am losing a bit of my soul with each experiment I assist with. The only way I can preserve my mental faculties is by taking time off, or by trying to divorce myself from all emotion. Whichever the case, I must act and not question the Master. Duty and honor, that is what is at stake. For generations, my family has been in loyal service to the Spencer household. I will not betray my duties, and I will serve Master Spencer until the end. I have dedicated my life to serving him, and there is no turning my back on that. It is time to check on the test subjects and report on their current condition to Master Spencer. I will carry out my duties, and I will do so honorably. I have been in Master Spencer's employ for the majority of my adult life. As of late, however, I find his actions to be inscrutable. For example, he has taken every possible precaution to conceal his whereabouts from the outside world. For what reason, I do not know. Then one day he asks me to find a certain man and make him aware of the Master's whereabouts. I do not know why he would go to such lengths to contact this man, but perhaps he wanted to see if someone could find him. The man in question is one Albert Wesker, a name I have not heard in quite a long time. I only met him once, and that was over 10 years ago. I am ashamed to admit that I cannot recall his face, because as head butler, It is my job to remember people. The reason, I believe, is because of his eyes. Those cold, unfeeling eyes that completely overshadowed his other features. At any rate, I have endeavored to get the information into Wesker's hands without letting on that it was Master Spencer's desire that he have that information. I know of a certain unscrupulous individual who could put the information on the streets for the right price. He is the kind that does not care who he talks to. What made the individual I found of such importance is that he is in the employ of a female spy who has regular dealings with Wesker. I paid this man, I forget if his name was Roberto or Ricardo, more than he deserved, and gave him the bare minimum of information necessary to fulfill Master Spencer's wishes. I dutifully carried out Master Spencer's directions to the letter. It was at this point that the situation took an even more cryptic turn. The Master, he let me go, but I do not know why. I asked him for a reason, the only time I have ever questioned him, but he responded with only silence. I do not know what to do now. I am filled with a sense of loss. Everything I have ever known is gone. I dedicated my entire life to serving the Spencer household, and now that book has been forcibly closed for no apparent reason. The only ones who remain will be those untrustworthy security guards and the people imprisoned below the premises. I truly doubt the guards' ability to attend to all of Master Spencer's needs. Could it be that he plans on dying? No. He is not that type of man. He would not want to leave all his affairs in such an unfinished state. Master Spencer must have some grand machinations at work that are beyond my ability to understand. At any rate, I can only obey his wishes and take my leave. I will be loyal until the end, even if it breaks my heart to do so. Spencer's Memoirs. I, Oswell E. Spencer, founder of Umbrella as well as its chief executive officer, hereby proclaim myself as rule of all mankind. Everyone shall prostrate themselves before me as they once did for the ancient false gods. At least, that was what my destiny should have been. But I did not become a god. I could not sever my ties to my own weak humanity. Instead, my body is being destroyed by this damned disease, the disease of age. It has carved wrinkles in my face like a well-weathered canyon, and my arms are like the thin, withered branches of a dying tree. Age has even deprived me of the use of my legs. The only chance I'll ever have of becoming a god and shaping humanity's destiny is to stop this disease from continuing to ravage my body. I believe there's a saying about realizing the joys of life when one is at death's doorstep. Sayings like that are for the weak who are going to die. They attempt to mask their fears with pithy aphorisms. Mortals can't comprehend what life means for those who death is not a concern. The ignorant are fond of making generalizations, to include those who would not be party to their pedantic musings. I will undo this unjust travesty done to me by time, and I will present myself as the perfect being that will rule over all mankind. I will give them a new set of commandments to govern their lives. All that remains is to find the key to eternal life. The virus manufactured by Umbrella is that key. It suppresses telomere shortening, which negates the function that limited cell division. Somewhere in that process is the key to immortality. If the process could be perfected, that key would be mine. I have the means available to me. I can realize my ambitions, thanks to Alex. I lost much in human capital following Umbrella's bankruptcy, but I still have Alex, the best and brightest of them all, and the last of my children. I have faith that if anyone can find a cure for the ailment of time that keeps me from assuming my role as the head of mankind, it is Alex. Alex will find a way. I have done everything Alex has asked of me. Alex's ingenuity far surpassed those of normal people. We wait for the appropriate time, gather the necessary materials, and Alex continues to keep the operation running smoothly. Most children are held back by the limits of their own intellect, but not so with Alex. I've never witnessed anyone so adept at absorbing the talents of others simply by observing them. I could not be more pleased. Alex displays superior qualities to everyone else. I've provided everything Alex and the other researchers would need to conduct their research. Unlimited funding, top-of-the-line equipment, research materials, and an endless supply of test subjects. The only thing wanting is time. They will conduct their research on an isolated island in the South Seas that is home to an abandoned military installation from a nearby country. Alex has already gone there with a group of research assistants, research materials, and hundreds of test subjects. I waited in earnest for good tidings of their research. Instead, I received only a phone call a month later asking me to send more test subjects. How was it possible that they had gone through hundreds of test subjects in only a month? As my frustration rose, Alex attempted to reassure me. You'll be pleased to hear that all experiments are running smoothly. And so, I continue to wait. I have waited, and still no word from the island. It's been a year since they left, and I've sent thousands upon thousands of test subjects for their research. As soon as Alex makes an improvement to the virus, the team administers it to another batch of test subjects. Unfortunately, they do not have time to study the virus before testing it. If it looks feasible, they proceed forward and see how the test subjects react to it. All of this is to be expected, I suppose. It's not Alex's fault. I have been impatient. True, but the situation is dire. Age has not only worn down this worthless shell, but it has also attacked my internal organs and rendered many of them virtually useless. What little functionality I can eke out of them is only thanks to the machines attached to my body. Time is a merciless enemy. I'm counting on you, Alex. Only you can jibe me the key to eternal life. Finally, a report of success. The experiment was a success. The news alone has sent a new surge of energy coursing through my veins. I feel rejuvenated. Last night's dinner even tasted sweeter. The wine more excellent. My butler, Patrick, is truly a culinary savant. Unfortunately, the joy was short-lived. Alex has disappeared. I would be less concerned if that were the only regrettable report from the island. The other researchers are also nowhere to be found. Neither are the thousands of test subjects. And most importantly, all the research materials, including the final virus that was to make me a god, cannot be located. I have been betrayed. I have allowed myself to be betrayed again. I should have learned from my mistakes with Albert. Now my life stands on the edge of a knife. The only person I can trust is my loyal butler, Patrick. He is my last hope in locating the virus that will cure me of this wretched ailment. But is time on my side? That is the question that preoccupies my mind, and only the god I am to become can answer that question.